Welcome back. I'm the Watch Nerd. On this video, we're going to talk about 5 things you should know about Rolex. I'm going to go over from oyster quartz to some special submariners, what it means, certain things. Now, this is only 5. I'm going to make other videos on Rolex. Just some extra facts you should know about Rolex. Some of these you'll know, some of these I hopefully will teach to you. But before we get into it, I do want to keep announcing my Chanel chain giveaway. I'm going to be giving out this chain as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to be entered, there's the 4 steps in the description below. So let's talk about our first thing here today. And I want to talk about Rolex. Well, the whole video is Rolex, but Rolex in particular. If you talk to watch enthusiasts, if it sweeps, it's a real Rolex, and if it ticks, it's a fake. This is completely false. I'm wearing one of the most beautiful reference 17,000s I've ever seen, even online. This is magnificent condition, and right now I think it's great opportunity for investments, but that's a different video altogether. What I'm saying is, if you are the guy that says if a Rolex ticks, it is fake, that is not true. Now, there is a couple stipulations. It is always in this oyster quartz type of case. I'll pop up some images. There is the only Datejust and Day-Date line. If you see a sport model, of course, if you see Submariner ticking, yes, it is a fake. But if you do see a Rolex ticking, it doesn't always mean it's a fake. There are some out there, and especially these watches, it's such a conversation starter. I was asked, are you wearing a Royal Oak? By not a watch collector, but a guy, an enthusiast, and I said no, it's a Rolex, and he could not get over the fact that they have an integrated bracelet. So very cool, and I think that's number 1. Now the second one, we're just going to talk about the cases themselves. Now, if you look at old Rolexes, why the fluted bezel? What is the purpose? And we know the screw down case back, but why the fluted bezel? And the older ones are thinner. They're not like the modern, big, chunkier fluted bezels, which go onto the steel models, and then the other version too, the steel. But the fluted bezel was invented so Rolex can screw the back and the front down to get the 100 meters. So if you want to know why it was fluted the way it was made, it was just because of the water resistance with the screw down crown. Pretty incredible, and it's just something pretty inventive by Rolex. Now I believe they use other methods. They don't use it that old traditional, they screw down the actual case to get that water resistance. But on the older pieces, that's why you see the fluted bezel on the original oyster cases. Now for the last 3, I want to talk about certain names you should know about certain watches. When a person says, oh, a Batman, that's the blue and black bezel. Now that's a modern iteration, but I want to bring in some models you might not know as much. Now the Blueberry, you hear about it, it's kind of a unicorn in Rolex. Very few were made. I think they were made. There's evidence out there from good sources that it is made, and then from good sources it's not made. It's very, very hard to tell if it's real, but I believe it was made for the Arab Emirates. Also the Day-Dates with the Stella dials were made. I'll pop up some pictures here. So these type of pieces were made, in my belief, the Blueberry. The Stella dials were 100% made by Rolex, but I'm very surprised why they haven't just came out and just said it's real or not. But millions of dollars have been spent on these blue bezels, so it's just very interesting. Rolex does not sign any of the bezels too. So if you're wondering, wow, why don't just people look at the bezel themselves? The actual aluminium, they do not sign that. It's just you have to trust your source when you buy that. Now the second to last one, here's something else. You need to know the difference between factory and non-factory. With Rolex, this is not just saying, okay, yes, factory means it's from that factory. Pretty obvious, right? But you need to know what they put in their diamonds. Any time in Rolex history when they say factory, it is flawless diamonds. There are some, other people out there say just they're okay quality, they're good quality. No, they are all flawless diamonds from Rolex. You buy a Rolex, it's flawless diamonds from the factory. Remember that, because aftermarket is a different story, and I definitely persuade everybody to stay far, far away from aftermarket. It is a dangerous road. You can lose a lot of money there. But that's the fourth thing, the Submariner. So what the Submariner, we all know it. There's the date and no date. But if you walk into an AD and ask for the Submariner, this doesn't happen a lot, but they'll pull out the no date. Because if you, and you get on yourself on a waiting list, because sometimes ADs have the Submariner and Submariner, no date if you stipulate. An AD I actually go to does that. If you have a preferred dial, if you had a preferred, certain combination. But if you just ask Rolex, like official, and I want a Submariner, they're going to give you the no date. Because on the Rolex website, watch enthusiasts have it all around, but it is just called the Submariner. Now, the Submariner date is called the Submariner date. What we call it as watch enthusiasts, and as the world actually, calls the Submariner, is the Submariner is the date, and you would buy Submariner no date. Just a little bit of helpful information. Hopefully, that last one was. I don't know. I like sharing that with you because last time I walked in the AD, they did make a joke about that. They say if you want to, ask for the Submariner, you want the Submariner straight, it's a no date, and the date comes along if you ask for the Submariner date. I think it's kind of funny, so I wanted to share that with you. There are so many other ones. There's the Bart Simpson Submariner. There's a bunch of references, certain models. There's just so many nicknames out there. The root beer, the Pepsi. I could make a whole video on just GMTs and their different names. A couple of videos in Hunt for Steel. There was a whole debate in the comments down below of that video, and it was all about, what do we call? It's the new GMT Batman, and it only comes on Jubilee. But it's actually the Batgirl, and widely considered it is the Batgirl. But there's just so much. I'm gonna definitely make more videos on this subject. But if you want a specific thing from Rolex, you want me to discuss a certain model, what a lifespan, any references, movements. There's so many different movements. The bubble backs. We haven't covered anything really in this video, but I just wanted to make a quicker one for you and just a fun little video giving you some tips, and I hopefully they are helpful out there for you. Before I do leave, I just want to remind you one more time, I am going to give this out, so if you do want to enter, there is the 4 steps. Just a quick reminder, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. I had a little fun doing this video. It's just fun going back and through. And the Daytonas, there's a lot of stuff to go over. And this is a very, I only chose 5 things to know about Rolex, but there's so much coming up, and I am very looking forward to it. Thank you, and have a fantastic day. I will catch you in the next one.